Okay, here we go. DNVR Avalanche podcast brought to you by DraftKings. What?
Yes. Thrilling stuff.
Well, I didn't know if I had to wait the extra. I didn't know if the additional countdown existed.
5 seconds
today.
for 5 seconds.
Yeah. We have 3 different countdowns that we have to go off of here, and I didn't know if it was. I didn't know where I was. I have a frame of reference on our pre and post game show. Didn't have anything for this one. This is a DNVR Avalanche podcast, though, off to a swimming start without Rudo. Yes, Rudo is finally taking care of his teeth. The lunatic showed up last night, like 3 hours after he had 3 teeth pulled out of his head. So we were like, you know what, take today off.
Yeah, Jesse, he was like, I swallowed all this blood. And it was like, why are you here?
I heard him halfway through the third period. He goes, I hope I didn't swallow too much blood today. I was like, go home. But he stuck it out. Rudo, hope you're feeling better. Jesse Montano here, as always, with AJ Haefele. We've got a very special guest with us today. Our Colorado Eagles beat writer, Meghan Angley. How's it going, Meghan?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
It's a little warm in this room I'm in. I turned the AC on right before we started, but I'm waiting for it to kick in a bit. Otherwise, I'm great.
That's bananas. That's
yeah,
stuff.
It's December 3rd, and yeah, it's way too warm in my house, and I'm all about it. AJ and I were talking about it last night over Rudo while he was talking. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that snow is beautiful. It's awesome until you have to like live in it and commute and shovel it and wipe it off your car. But enough about me complaining about snow. Meghan is the best, and I'm very happy to finally have you here, Meghan. It's been you've been working with us now covering the Eagles for about a month, and I'm super excited to have you on here. I'm really excited to talk about Eagles. How have things been going for you here this first month up there in Loveland?
It's been a really great learning experience so far. I've only covered 4 games, and it's just been 2 series back-to-back these last couple of weekends. So that very first one, I was definitely still getting acclimated and finding my bearings with the team because there were plenty of players I needed to get more familiar with. So I spent that first series primarily doing that, but I already feel a little more comfortable. So I'm really excited to get back up there again tonight for some more games.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Pavel Francouz. Let's start there because I know you've got a big feature on Sampo Ranta. But let's start with Pavel Francouz. He is starting his first game tonight on the conditioning stint. You will be in the building. Have you had the chance to talk to him yet?
Not yet. That is who I'll request to talk to tonight and hopefully both nights just to get as much information as we can and learn a little bit more about how things have been going for him with his recovery and then more recovery.
Yeah. Recovery that went very well, and then more recovery was needed.
It happens. So I'm excited to hear from him.
Yeah, no, definitely. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about Sampo Ranta. Started the year with the Avs. Was I don't know, AJ, Meghan, would you guys call it a surprise him making the team out of camp?
Yes.
Since he's gone back up to the Eagles, though, it seems like he's kind of had the Alex Newhook experience where things seem to be clicking for him a little bit, a little bit better. Seems to be getting a little bit of that confidence back. Meghan, just being around him a little bit, being able to see him up close. What are you kind of seeing from Sampo?
I think it was the right decision, and a part of me believes it was always going to end in him coming back to the Eagles at some point this season for more development. And I'd like to see him even stick out the rest of this season with the Eagles, just because a little bit unlike Newhook, his development seems to be a little bit more slower going. And that's not all on him either. There's just a lot of things happening with the forward depth on the Eagles right now that are shaking things up that harm his ability to build chemistry consistently anyways. So I think his development's going to happen. It's going to unfold over a little bit slower of a time for him, but he's gaining confidence. I mean, it's only 4 games in for me watching him, and He registered a point and assist the first series, and now he's got 2 goals. So it is happening for him. It's just maybe a bit more gradual.
Kind of, just based on what you were talking about right there, almost kind of reminds me of the Mikko Rantanen rookie season where, with Patrick Waugh, where he went down to the AHL and spent literally their entire season there, ended up being co-rookie of the year before coming up. Is that kind of, that's kind of what it, does that sound like it's on the right track?
Absolutely.
What you're seeing?
And I mentioned too, there are variables outside of his control that are going to affect how quickly he's able to develop his game. Like, he's not consistently playing alongside the same people each series. So that's definitely going to affect things. And he definitely looks confident out there. He's playing with the same edge and the same speed that we saw. He's learning from his mistakes on not as big of a stage. And so there's a little more allowances for him to make mistakes too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the college route, and I don't know, maybe AJ, you'll correct me on this, but I feel like the college route is becoming a little bit more prominent. You're seeing more top prospects go that route. I've always just felt like that seems to be the more difficult jump for players to make, going from NCAA to the NHL. So no, I love what you said right there. I think it gives him the opportunity to make those pro hockey mistakes without the spotlight being so bright.
I mean, Sampo had a lot of work to do coming over from Finland in the USHL, where he just scored a lot of goals, and that was kind of all he did in the USHL. And then he got to Minnesota, and Balmatsko really started hammering home, like, you're a big guy, you need to utilize your size and your speed, and that has to be your bread and butter. And that's what the Avs loved about him. And it's been a really encouraging development track, with the 10 games that he played up in the NHL being really the only like pockmark, because he looked so out of place. But down in the Eagles, down with the Eagles, the size and the speed and all that is great. He scored a couple of goals. Look, the production is great. You have to produce. If you're going to be a guy that gets called up, you have to produce. But what I'm most curious about, Megan, is what situations are the Eagles putting him in to really develop his game outside of the things he's already good at?
There's a lot of discussion from himself and from Coach Cronin about becoming more reliable defensively. And I feel like they're soft launching him into special teams because he's not a primary guy on the power play or the penalty kill. But these are situations wherein they are utilizing him. And I think he's still growing comfortable in those situations, but it does speak to the faith that coaching staff has in him to be a guy who could become more reliable defensively.
That's honestly encouraging to hear, because that was a lot of what we talked about, where I don't know, for me, like, it's one of those things where the NHL it's the best league in the world. So when players can get there and just kind of hold their own, I do put some merit in that. And that was what I thought Ranta did a lot of in the few games he played last season. Yeah, it was him defensively in the games that he got with the Avs this season, where he really just seemed to struggle. We talked about a lot that he would get caved in on most nights. Like, he did not have good analytic nights. His line spent a lot of time in their own zone. So are they giving him, or is he getting PK reps with the Eagles?
Yes, he is. And I mentioned the forward depth struggles that they're having, but he's also getting top line minutes at points as well. So he's seeing a lot of opportunities, even outside of special teams. He was who they called upon for their overtime 3-on-3 hockey. This last weekend, he was one of the 3 on the ice. It didn't end the way the Eagles would have liked, but he's being utilized in a lot of different ways.
Well,
like you said, yeah.
What I really like about this is that, the balance of AHL teams is really interesting, because you want, the Colorado Eagles historically have always been wildly successful. They've won a ton of games. They've competed for championships in their leagues. And when they became the affiliate of the Avalanche, whose affiliates had not had any amount of success since the Hershey Bears era, like 15 years ago, you're talking, it was always going to be an interesting balance between them competing versus them developing guys for the NHL, and putting a guy like Sampo Ranta out there for 3-on-3 is demanding that he be responsible defensively, and that he try and work on that part of his game, trial by fire, trial by fire, like that's it is. And so that's a situation where you're putting him in a spot where offensively, when he gets the puck, that's great. You want to see him do the dynamic things that he can do, but you also are forcing him to be better defensively. And it's a good balance between development and trying to win, because on one side of the puck, he gives you a really good chance with the offensive skills that he has. And on the other side, you force him to develop either through, hey, he's successful or he fails, and it's something to learn from. Either way, he's learning and growing. And that's a really important part of this, because Greg Cronin and every other AHL coach lives in that in between. An NHL head coach's job is win games. In the AHL, you have to you want to win, but your primary objective a lot of the time is to develop the talent to move on, so that when they get really good, the NHL takes them and you've just lost some of your best players. So it's a balancing act between winning and development. And right now, hearing that they're utilizing Ranta in those ways is really encouraging, because it's forcing development, but they're also competing. I mean, they obviously used to standing in with goaltender of the month and all, but he's not getting that if they don't win a few games along the way.
Definitely. And to hear, I've only talked to Cronin about a couple different players so far, but to hear the way he talks about Ranta, I think he has high expectation, and it's for the right reasons, that he has faith that Ranta could become a player that eventually plays in the NHL. And it seems as though he's a bit at a crossroads. It's not that this is an opportunity for the taking, but for the making. And Ranta has to really carve out and prove what role he would even have in the Avalanche lineup in the future. And it reminds me of Logan O'Connor. He's going to have to carve that role out for himself and establish why he would even belong there in the first place.
I think that's a phenomenal point. And I think, using the parallel of Logan O'Connor, not necessarily saying that they're the same player, and you can almost even kind of use Tyson Jost, where it's like, you have to find where you fit in all of this. You're not just going to be able to roll in. We saw Ranta in his college career, and even in the games he played with the Eagles last year, where he flexed that offensive muscle, and it was, I'm great around the net. I can score, I can shoot. He got to the NHL and he couldn't just do that. So figuring out, how do I develop these other tools to be able to carve out a specific role? I think that's a great point, Megan.
Because it could go one of two ways. There are shades of Nal Yakupov in Sampo Ranta's game that I don't want him to go that route, and I'd rather see him carve out a role that has some sustainability for himself. And I think he can do it. It's just going to come down to how much he wants it. Yeah.
And look, you hate to say this about players, because I don't know Nail Yakupov, almost at all. But yeah, you have to want to develop that part of your game. If you really do just say, nope, I think I'm just good enough doing what I know how to do, and I can kind of overcome all my other problems by just scoring a billion goals, then you end up like Nail Yakupov. And I mean, you watch that dude play, and the tools are, the offensive tools are so fun to watch. He's got such a good shot. He's such a good skater, but he never, again, I don't necessarily know if I want to say he never had interest in it, but it seemed like he never really wanted to develop those other parts of his game. I think that's a great point, that he's got to want to develop that part of his game. And if he really wants to, get to the NHL in a full-time capacity, that's the stuff that he has to do. He knows he's got those natural abilities. And again, drawing it back to Newhook, that's something that Jared Bednar has talked a lot about, that when he made the team out of camp, those first couple games, he was not committed to doing the things that he needed to do to be successful. He was just waiting for his natural abilities to take over. He went back down and seemed like he figured out how to how to do some of those other things that he just wasn't doing, and you hope the same for Ranta.
Definitely.
Cool. AJ, what else you got for Meghan?
I mean, beyond Sampo, what else? I mean, what else have you noticed from the Eagles that stood out to you?
Well, Eustace is playing very well. Goaltender of the month. And you look at a couple different things, like looking bigger picture, taking a step back and taking a look at the Eagles. They're defensively playing very well, and Justin Barron is a part of that. I actually went into last weekend fully expecting the piece to feature Justin Barron, and then Sampo Ranta scored his first 2 goals. So I had to kind of switch. But he's playing very well, and Justin Barron is getting opportunities on the penalty kill and power play as well. And he's only newly back from an injury as well. And so I feel like we're both kind of coming in cold to the Eagles, but he's been playing well. The Eagles defense is generally playing well. They lead the league in shots on goal, but they're not really finding the back of the net, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the injury problem isn't exclusive to the Avs; it's trickling through the entire organization.
No, and the thing is too, like the reason the Eagles defense looks so good right now is because they're the most healthy component of the team as well. It's the forwards that are all messed up, and it shows.
Yeah. What was Barron out with? Do we
Sorry,
know?
what?
What was Barron out with? Do we know?
Oh no, I don't know.
No.
Classic.
Gross.
I don't remember.
Classic Avs organization.
Okay, I'm trying to learn more about all injuries at all times. I feel like I might be able to get an update after this weekend because I think Cronin, I'm growing on him. I don't know that for a fact, so that could be but I am looking at the question about Jordan Gross because his play has actually really stood out to me. And it's a question I've been asking myself too. I guess it would really come down to whether or not something grievously went wrong with the decor. Because I think the Avs decor that would warrant a call-up opportunity in the first place because he is playing well on both ends of the ice. I don't know how that translates to NHL caliber players because he has had some professional experience with the Coyotes as well, some NHL games. So I think he'd be a solid call-up choice if it came down to it, and he is playing incredibly well right now. So maybe.
I was like, so I'm assuming it'd have to be him or McDonald. I would imagine Barron's kind of in that same situation, like what you were saying. You're hoping for Ranta, where this is your AHL year. Yeah. Things would have to go extremely sideways for it to get down to him. So yeah, I think you see one more defensive injury, Jordan Gross or Jacob McDonald, who they may just feel more comfortable with, but he's jumping out to you though, Jordan Gross.
Yes. As far as someone who has stood out to me or surprised me, I feel almost bad leaning negative because there's a few players that have surprised me by not playing to a level that I thought that they might. So maybe I'll stay away from that question for now. But let me think. I've already talked a little bit about Jordan Gross, who has stood out. Callahan Burke. He might be injured. I'm going to try to follow up with more information, but he has been a reliable second-line centerman, and so his play has stood out in a positive way to me.
Oh, Cal Burke.
I don't know what's going on with him though.
Drove me crazy at the rookie camp that they had, and then shows up in games and looks good, and you're just like, I don't understand this guy at all. He makes no sense to me because then if you watch him practice and you see him in you're like, he's a smaller guy. He doesn't really have any doesn't really have any standout skills, and then he gets into a game and whatever he has just kind of comes together as a guy that works really hard and just finds ways to contribute. The Avs have had a decent little knack in recent years of finding guys like Cal Burke on AHL deals that help the Eagles out, but aren't really like part of the NHL conversation, but are good quality AHL players.
because he was centering a line with Bocage on it. And Bocage is another player of intrigue that I also thought I would be talking about last weekend, if not for Ranta. And I still to be determined on Bocage, but he actually had some first line minutes on Friday night's game. And he developed confidence after a skirmish in front of the net, which was kind of interesting. It really energized him. And then the play after that was incredible. So he is somebody that I'm keeping an eye on as well. Bocage, that is.
He gets lost in the prospect shuffle a lot because we've always talked about him as like he does one thing well, but he's made a surprising adjustment to the Eagles this year. I have been genuinely surprised at how much I liked his all-around game in the AHL so far this season.
He surprises me. I have to look up his size every time I see him because he skates like he's 5'10", but he's not. He's just very fast.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I want to be pleasantly surprised at the end of the year by what Bocage does in his first pro season. I'm still holding the torch for him. I'm the DNVR torch holder of his prospect future. So I'm holding out hope that he continues to progress.
Me as well. His game and Foodie's game. Watching them. They're kind of interchangeable right now for me. So
Foodie is a good time. Yeah,
I was gonna say AJ's all about Foodie.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're gonna be an elite skater and you're gonna do fun things with the puck, I'm just gonna be a fan.
I actually think that you do need to get a little cuter with the puck. I almost never thought I would say that, but I think half the issue is the quality of shots that they're taking. And if they were to get a little cuter with it, I actually think this would benefit them.
I love fucking cute hockey. It's great. I'm all about fucking elbow in only. Toe drags and elbow in. Only thing that counts.
One last question before we let you go here, Megan. Shane Bowers.
Yeah.
Coming back?
Yeah. Gosh, I got kind of a wishy-washy answer, but based on what I was told, he may play this series. He is back in skating with the team this week. My gut is that he is playing this series. That is not an official report. I just think based on how the answer was given to me. And I also don't know the nature of his injury. So he's someone I would like to talk to this weekend as well. So hopefully I can just ask him directly the nature of the injury. It was a little hush-hush last weekend when I asked about it. So hopefully I'll learn a little more.
Perfect.
There you go. Megan, thank you so much for coming on. We'd love to get you on a little bit more often, talk some Eagles, talk some prospects, talk some D, talk whatever you want to talk about. So thanks for stopping by.
It's true. We talk about a lot of stuff that is not hockey related.
Yeah.
And I love having another woman on this podcast.
I'll come back more.
Yeah. Make sure you are following Megan. That is her Twitter handle there in her in the bottom left of her video box. Unbelievable Twitter handle. Make sure you guys are following her and make sure you guys are sticking to DNVR.com as she's going to keep having more and more awesome stuff coming out of Loveland and the Eagles and hopefully beyond. So Megan, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you guys.
Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Bye. Meghan Angley, awesome to get an update from the Colorado Eagles, man. From up north.
Jesse, you'll be thrilled to know that a blizzard warning was just issued in Hawaii.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Allie's face just in my head.
That's blizzard warning here, and I was like, how?
Just because in the last 24 hours we've talked a lot about snow and how weird this Denver weather has been.
What is happening to the world? There's a lot of answers to that. We're not going to get into that in this podcast, but
I don't think we're going to get into all the sadness of why it's snowing in Hawaii.
let me tell you guys that I'm actually an expert on climate change.
Oh, you are?
Oh, totally. I have Facebook, so that makes me an expert on everything.
Climate change.
Let's not get into this, guys. Let's get out of that.
Allie, I was just about to list all the things I'm an expert in.
Let's get out of that.
Come on. Wow.
Shut down.
Well, I was going to tell all these people where they can come for all of their information, but I guess not anymore.
You missed me, so I'm back. I'm here, and I'm coming in full force.
Yeah.
I swear, if these comments start getting out of hand,
Yeah. I was going to say, let's move on. Hey, you guys have heard of the Ball Corporation, right? The Ball Corporation is doing their part.
They're the evil villain in every movie.
Yeah. Ball Corporation is doing their part to help the world. What are you doing? Okay, you threw your head around.
Yeah.
I thought you were going 90s X-Men cartoon Cyclops there for a second.
Oh, I hate Cyclops. I would never do that.
Which you saw they're bringing back.
Of course.
On Disney Plus.
You think I'm going to miss any news that my man Gambit is going to be on anything that I can consume? No. Girl, please.
I sent you a picture of the Gambit shirt that I got last year, right?
Yes.
Dude, amazing. But no, the Ball Corporation, guys, they're doing some amazing things for sustainability, and they're also hiring right now. They offer all kinds of tuition reimbursement, great pay, great benefits. Make sure you guys are checking them out. I know there's all kinds of people who are looking to change their career, looking to get into a new field. I got into a new field this year. If you are looking for a great company to continue progressing your career forward or completely starting a new career, if you're looking for your first job, anything the Ball Corporation has you guys covered. And honestly, guys, just a little bit we've gotten to know them, a little bit I've gotten to know them in my time with DNVR. They're an awesome company. With a lot of awesome people. They offer competitive wages starting at $27.39 per hour. Go to their website for more information. They're really an awesome company that is giving themselves a nice footprint here in Denver, and a lot of great opportunities with them. Also, obviously have to remind you guys that we are brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, Jesse, the consummate professional. Look, I mean, we're presented by DraftKings here, the number one sports book in Colorado, official sports betting partner of the NFL. They're running a promo right now, guys, for just $1. You can bet just $1 on any team, any NFL team to score and win this Sunday. And if they do, which if they win, I would have to imagine that they're going to have to score at least a point. Or 2 points, I guess. That's kind of the minimum you can have in the NFL. You will win $100, $1 to win 100. Look, we have our Saturday Super Slate going every week. Make sure you have the DraftKings app downloaded so you can play along every week and get in on our ridiculous parlays that I'm sure you will cash in on every week. AJ, you only missed 2 games the first 2 weeks. How's it gone for you since?
I actually have not. I did not keep track last week. I don't remember at all.
Yeah, I wasn't able to do it. Go ahead.
I eyeballed it, and I think I only missed, I think 3, if I was correct on the picks that I made. So I'm doing okay.
I had a bad week last week. I took a lot of underdogs, and I realized it when I was posting the video and the graphic. I was like, ooh, that's a lot of Seattle and Arizona-esque players or teams, and it went exactly how you'd expect it to. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use promo code DNVR. Bet $1 on any NFL team to score and win, and you will win $100 in free bets. You score with the promo code DNVR this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for detail. And of course, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right, AJ. We talked this morning. I think we came up with a real fun kind of back half to the pod we've got here today. We're gonna
just real quick. Cale Clague on waivers from the Kings. Do you have any thoughts on it?
That he is on waivers from the Kings.
Yeah, because anytime a player that somebody has heard of goes on waivers, we always get asked, should the Avs do this? So I mean, just any thoughts? Because I mean, for me, it's just a no.
Yeah, no, that was kind of what I just said.
Yeah,
no.
It's not anything about Clague. It's just about the defense, and
yeah,
I'm good on Clague.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need. I think we've talked about it.
If I was Arizona or Ottawa or somebody like that, and I was just dying for bodies on defense that had any kind of puck skill at all, I would give him a real chance.
I think there's a good chance he gets claimed. I mean, I
do think that there's a chance he gets claimed. Yeah.
But I just don't think it's something that. One, if the Avs were interested enough to put in a claim, I don't necessarily know if you get to him because the couple teams that you just named, I think, would be teams that would be in on it. That would the claim would hit them before it even got to the Avs.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for the Avs, don't really see the need to. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if he did get claimed. Yeah. So we're gonna follow the same theme here for a couple different things. To finish out the last half hour here of the show, but we're going to start with the Avs. And AJ, you and I are both going to give who we think has been, or who or what, doesn't have to be an individual, doesn't have to be, kind of be whatever. What's been your biggest surprise? What has been your biggest disappointment? And where do you think the bubble will burst first? So we're going to start with the Avs, and then we'll take a little bit larger step back to the league as a whole.
You got to time that better next time so that you go with burst first, and it just sounds like you just make the rhyme and then just blow right through it.
Well, because I got through burst, and then I was like, well, I guess the only thing I can say here is first, and that rhymes.
Well.
So I just owned it. All right, so I'm going to start with the biggest disappointment, or Jesus, I can't even speak. Start with the biggest surprise. Stop it, Allie.
I love that Allie pops on just to let us know that she's laughing and Jesse's struggling, and then pops right back out.
She did it to laugh in my face. I couldn't laugh behind your back. I had to laugh right in your face.
That's the type of person I am, Jesse.
She's cracking up in the background, and she's like, "Oh, he's got to know that I'm dunking on him right now."
Well, and so we were doing the breakdown yesterday, and she goes, "Hey, will you tell everyone to make sure they're not like yelling or anything in the bar just for the next couple minutes while we do this?" And I was like, hey, guys, just so you know, we're about to start the breakdown. So Allie said to make sure nobody's screaming. Or I said, we're about to start the
game thing, review thing.
Preview
the thing. Breakdown. That's what
Yeah. And then I walked out. I was like, breakdown. That's what it was. And I just hear this cackling in my headphone. I was like, oh, great. Thanks.
Wine, Mom Allie. Oh, I wish I had wine. I just have coffee. I need to wake up.
You can wake up with wine. It's fine.
I guess that's true. I have a lot more to do today. I can't do this. We've got Rudo here saying, please no, laughing hurts my mouth.
Apparently it hurts his ability to put together a coherent sentence.
I was going to say, what the...
Please no, laughing hurts my mouth.
Yeah, easy on the Vicodins, bro.
I'm sorry, but Jesse, there's just been a few little things that I'm like, what is going on? It's just funny. It's just funny. You're doing a great job, but I'm just
you sound like it.
That's the type of friend I am, though. I'm gonna make you laugh with me rather than just being like, oh my god.
She's gonna build you up, and then she's gonna giggle incessantly at any time that you stumble through anything.
And then put together a highlight reel of me stumbling over my words. Yeah.
Oh, the bloopers. The bloopers coming.
Oh. AJ, what's been your biggest surprise for the Avs?
Oh, I think that it's got to be Nazem Kadri. 30 points through 20 games. He's fourth in the NHL in scoring. I mean, there are a number of things that you could pick. Bowen Byram having the kind of start that he did.
Yeah.
0 points in 19 games last year, 9 points in 13 games this year, and looking like an all-star in most of those games. I mean, Logan O'Connor having the breakout that he's had has obviously been great. I like there's a number of things that you could do, but fourth in the NHL in scoring from Nazem Kadri.
Yeah. No, seriously.
I don't know how you could pick a different answer for truly like the biggest surprise. There have been other things that have happened, but like we all kind of, the predominant feeling was that LOC had earned a spot and was an ascending player. Now his production, 9 points in 20 games, obviously that's not something that any of us saw coming, but the 30 points in 20 games is a different level. When you're in the top 5 in scoring after 20 games, you're in a different stratosphere as a player there. That's crazy.
The only 3 players ahead of Nazem Kadri right now are Alex Ovechkin, who we will circle back to later in the show, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. Those are the only 3 players in the NHL right now that are outproducing Nazem Kadri.
2 MVP winners, the last 2 MVP winners, I believe.
I believe you're right.
And the greatest goal scorer of all time.
Of all time, yeah.
Good company to be in.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
And
I'd be all right being there.
It's not as if McKinnon returned and all of a sudden Kadri went immediately cold.
Right.
McKinnon's been back for 2 games and Kadri has 3 points.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean he just continues to roll, dude. And I'm gonna go with a different one, but just continuing kind of talking on Naz here. It's not that he's backing his way into these points either.
No.
We talk about that with players sometimes where you see guys that can bank a bunch of secondary assists.
Look at Andre Burakovsky with 15 points in 19 games. Mm-hmm. Anybody feel like he's played that well?
No. Well, I mean, I don't. I can't speak for everybody, but no, I mean,
I'm sure that there are some people out there, but I think I would say that the majority opinion would be that Berkey's been a little quiet this year. And has been a little bit of a frustration that he hasn't played with the kind of consistency that you would normally attribute to 15 points in 19 games.
Right.
So you're talking about quiet production. That's a perfect example, I think.
Yeah. Well, and someone put it in the chat there, and I didn't want to do it as someone who I love him as a player. I was one of his biggest defenders here, but Tyson Barrie is someone that, a lot of people pointed out where it's like, yeah, he kind of backs his way into a lot of easy points, special teams points. Tyson Barrie has quarterbacked a power play for Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, and Connor McDavid. Like, that dude's had a sick career just from the players he's gotten to play with.
The other side of it is that he's been given those opportunities and done well.
Oh, for sure. So, for sure. 100%. Like I said, I am still a huge fan of Tyson Barrie, but he is just kind of the classic example of people are like, yeah, did he earn a lot of those points though? But I agree with you. I'm going to take my biggest surprise, and obviously it's a much smaller sample size, but Val Nichushkin. Look,
6 goals in 11 games.
Right. I liked the signing a few years ago because I thought, there's a fun upside guy who can play in your bottom 6. He's got good size. And he's just gotten better every year in his time with the Avs to the point where he became a really, I don't necessarily know if you want to say productive, but I mean, he was an important piece of your middle 6 last season. He played up a little bit in the lineup for a couple weeks, and yeah, he looked like he maybe got exposed a little bit. But I mean, he is part of the driving force on that second line right now. His shorthanded play has been, I mean, truly elite. We joked last year, or maybe it was even the year before, that he was legitimately like in the Selke conversation. Now he's a winger, so he'll never win it, but like his level of play could have legitimately put him there. And the way he's playing this season with the production, again, he's a winger, so he's not going to win it. But if this type of, if even this realm of production keeps up, you're not expecting this pace to keep the point per game stuff. But if he stays this type of contributor, combine that with his his defensive play, nothing from you, Allie, his defensive play, like, again, he's in that caliber of player where it's like, this is a Selke caliber player. He is that good defensively, and the offensive contributions have been there this year. again, limited sample size.
I'll stay away from the Selke stuff because I just don't want to get derailed onto it right now.
Oh, no. Not to go down that road, but his defensive numbers combined with the production we've seen this year, like I said, it puts him in that tier of defensive-minded forwards. And just seeing him take the step forward that he has this year, like you said, there's so many, huge Logan O'Connor fan. He has been literally with every game that contract looks better and better. But I think Nazem Kadri and Val Nichushkin have kind of been the two where you really do step back and say these guys have been significant impact players in a way that maybe we didn't see. The reason I might give the edge to Nuke over Kadri is because we've seen this before from Kadri in his career, not in his time with the Avs.
Not like this, but yeah.
Not like
he's
this,
been good. Yes,
he's been a 70-point guy. He's been a 30-goal guy multiple times. And for Nichushkin, it's just like the way he's playing right now is
his career high. For the record, his career high is 61 points.
Oh, really? I thought he hit 70 one year. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake.
That's it. That's the only time he's ever broken 60. But he does he has 2 30-goal seasons on his record.
Yeah. The way Val Nichushkin is playing right now, this is what the Dallas Stars thought they could get out of him when they took him 10th overall. It's taken a while for him to get here. You don't know how long he stays at this level, but the level he's playing at is it's been huge for the Avs in this run they've been on and helping them keep afloat while Nathan McKinnon's been out. I'm going to go first on the biggest disappointment because I made you go first on biggest surprise.
Oh, so I got to take low-hanging fruit. Now you get to? This is fair enough. Yeah, I'm good with this.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to go with, and I'm hesitating because I don't know if I'm going to take yours or not. It's been Tyson Jost for me, man. The way he finished the year last year, he really seemed like he was starting to figure it out. I'm not saying he's been bad this season. But look, I was expecting a lot more out of him. I wasn't expecting him to be the person that gets bumped down to the fourth line when you started getting healthy. Helm, in chat, Helm has been disappointing, but it's honestly not far off from what I kind of expected out of a player that you signed to come play on your fourth line. Tyson Jost really looked like he had turned the page to this is your third line center. He's figured it out. He's starting to be productive, and it just hasn't come together for him this year. And again, that's not saying that he's been bad. Just he doesn't seem like he's been able to build on what really seemed to be a really solid end of the season last year, where he looked like he was finally figuring out what his role was, what niche he was carving out in the NHL. And it seems like it's just been a bit of a step back this year. Did I take yours?
No, God, no. Tyson Jost is exactly who I think he is. He's right on. His point scoring pace is completely in line with his entire career. Literally, if you go and you look at his analytics, he is identical offensively or defensively as last year, which was identical to the year before that. And then offensively, he's identical to last year as well in terms of driving play. His analytics are really they're really good defensively. He's not doing a whole lot offensively, and you see that he doesn't play with a lot of confidence on offense. And
that's what I'm saying.
The best plays that he makes are passes to teammates who are not equipped to finish. The stuff that he does offensively really well is a higher level than the player of teammates that he plays with. But because he doesn't finish often enough and he doesn't drive play often enough on his own, he doesn't justify getting to move up in the lineup to be with some of those guys.
I don't think he needs to move up.
I just don't. No, I don't either. I'm just saying, like if you watch the best things that he does offensively is he makes a number of really nice plays to teammates who are just not going to finish very often because of who they are. You know, an unbelievable centering pass to a Jason Megna isn't, or last night he made one really nice play in front of the net that ended up in a shot on goal, and I don't remember who it was, but he was playing with Helm and Megna, and you're like,
well, see, and what you're talking about though is exactly why he's been, again, just a disappointment for me. Not saying that he's been bad, but I really felt like in that last quarter of the season into the playoffs, he was playing with confidence with the puck on his stick, and he just seemed to have really settled into what he was, what he's about, and he seemed like he had that confidence.
When he gets
now, there's part of this that he found some consistency with some line mates that he really seemed to click with last year that he hasn't gotten this year. So there's the caveat.
The line mates and a role, because he played center for the majority of last year.
Right.
And then this year they come out of the gate with him on the wing. And because New Hook gets into the lineup, now they're like, okay, well, because New Hook is here, now we're moving Jost back to the wing. And now I think they have it right, where McKinnon, Kadri, New Hook, Jost. I think that's how it should be. For me, and I'm just saying, look, for me, Jost is just who Jost is. For me, I didn't have higher expectations than this. I'm fine with this being who he is. I don't think that maybe my only mild disappointment is that the contract that they gave him is $500,000 too much, but it's a really, really minor issue, and it's not his fault that they offered him that money. I think it's, for me, Tyson Jost is who he is. So sure, I'm good with that. My biggest disappointment, I mean, you trade Connor Timmins and a first-round pick for Darcy Kemper, and you get a .903 save percentage out of him. The injury is obviously a bummer, but he just hasn't played well enough. There haven't been enough good games. It started to look like it was coming together for him. He had that 5 or 6 game stretch where he put together a bunch of games where he had over a 900 save percentage, and all of this was happening, and it started to look better. And then even then there were pock marks in that stretch. The 3-goal period against Seattle. Now they're up 7-0. I didn't care about him then. I don't really care about him now, but you do when you do go and look at it, he gives those up, and then he gives up 5 in just a totally fucking nuts game against Ottawa, right? Which, like, those games happen, but
and he came in and out of the game twice.
The Dallas game, he gives up 2 goals in 90 seconds, and one of those goals, nothing he can do about it. Just nothing he can do about it. And then the other one, he just gets beat cleanly on the blocker, where we've seen him get beat cleanly consistently this season. And it's just, look, it just hasn't been good enough. You paid a huge price. You paid a first-round pick for a guy coming into a contract year, and you just, through this portion of the season, I don't know how you could make any argument that this has been good enough. And I'm not saying you are, obviously. This to me is the biggest disappointment of the Avalanche, is that Darcy Kemper just hasn't been good enough. They've been fine because they've been blowing teams out. They basically blew out an entire month of their schedule, so it didn't matter. But he just hasn't been good enough. He's had 2 starts that he actually played an entire game where he only gave up 1 goal. Just 2, and I would say you want a little bit more than that. I'm not asking, my Vezina dream is dead, but I'm not asking him. I'm not asking him to be a world beater at this point. I'm just asking him to be league average, and he hasn't even been close to that.
See, I disagree with, just because
league average is a number. That's a data point that he is way below right now.
But there's context to that. that 903 wasn't anywhere close to 903 until the last two starts, which were the Ottawa game where he left twice with the skate thing and he ended up with a 750 save percentage. And then that next game where, again, he left because of the skate issue and he ended up with like an 820 or something like that. So there is a little bit of caveat to that 903. That number was much, much higher until those two bananas games where he ended up with horrible stat lines. That doesn't mean those stat lines aren't real. They exist. The Ottawa game wasn't good. But there is a small caveat to that, that if you bump those numbers back up even a little bit, if he plays those full games without the skate issues, he's probably closer to 910, which league average is 915.
So before the Ottawa game, he was 8-4 with a 915 save percentage.
So right at league average. So that's why I disagree with that a little bit. And I would say that he's been good enough in the context of what you just said. The Avs have been blowing teams out for 5 fucking weeks now, and he's been good enough. He's been fine. The Seattle game doesn't bother me. Exactly what you just said. Those are three.
Yeah, the 915 included the Seattle game where it was like three goals that don't matter. If you take out the Seattle game, he is 7-4 with a whole. It goes up 1 point. It's a 916. So it really doesn't make average. Well, no, but really doesn't make a big difference. But
right, and my point with calling out that Seattle game was like, there's been a couple of those games where he gives up some goals late, but it's kind of like whatever.
There's been some junk. There's definitely been a little bit of statistical noise there.
One of the things that I really, really agree with you on, though, is what you said about the blocker side. I feel like we have seen him just get smoked on that blocker side this year. I definitely agree with. He hasn't been what you wanted him to be. For what you gave up in terms of a pick and a prospect that I think everyone can agree, I think it's really easy for people to fall in love with their prospects, but this is a prospect that pretty much everyone agreed. I mean, he was already a full-time NHLer. Like this was someone who had graduated to your NHL roster and who was doing really, really positive things in the playoffs last year. I feel horrible for Timmins as a side note. The dude's, he's an awesome kid. And I think he's a really good player. And he has had some of the worst injury luck I've ever seen to start a career.
It's been really tough for him. It sucks.
Like, dude, I just feel horrible for him. For what you gave up, I agree. He has not been what you wanted or what you needed. Again, based on that package you gave up. I think there's context to the numbers, and I think a lot of people can be quick to point at that because you're right. 903, 915 is what's considered league average. And you are what the numbers say you are at the end of the day. You can always argue context and this and that, but at the end of the day, your numbers are your numbers. And right now he's at a 903. That's well below league average. To say that it hasn't been a disappointment to any level would just be a flat out lie. Given what you know about Darcy Kemper and his abilities, given what you've given up for him, hasn't been what you wanted, and I don't think it's been what the Avs have envisioned. Now, there is a ton of season left. Assuming this
isn't me writing him off or anything like that. It's just we're talking about what's happened through 20 games and through 20 games. Yeah. Look, Darcy,
you're a quarter of the way through the season.
Of Darcy Kemper starts, only 6 of his starts has he allowed under 3 goals. And in a 3-goal league,
that's concerning.
That's a really big problem, regardless of the save percentage and blah, 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 blah. Like, you're talking.
Well, the stat you gave about only 1 goal is another one that is just a little. Again, the Avs are outscoring that problem right now, so it doesn't feel like as much of a problem.
Yeah, he has. Let me see. He has 1, 2. He has 4 starts where he's given up 3 or more goals and 1.
Yeah, and won the game right there is a perfect little caveat to put on that because those are problematic. But he's won. Got a super chat here. Thank you so much for the $5. Waiting for it to come up on the screen. Bueller. Allie Bueller.
Allie's too busy. She gave up on us.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's too busy putting together my blooper reel.
We can still read it.
Yeah, super chat. Bring back the Hamburglar.
For what?
I wanted him to work out so bad because that's such an amazing hockey nickname, and the cheeseburgers on the ice thing was amazing. But yeah, no, thank you for the $5. Does the Hamburger play anywhere in the NHL?
His last NHL appearance was in an Avalanche sweater.
Nice.
So that tells you how his career has gone since he left, which he just wasn't that good. He's been in Minnesota's system where he still is.
I was gonna say I thought he was with the Iowa Wild. Yeah.
He's been fine he's fine. He's an okay AHL goaltender at this point.
Him and Cody McLeod, eh?
Yeah.
Iowa Wild.
Well, one of those guys is on an NHL deal, and the other one's not. You probably
AJ, cool.
guess which is which.
Yeah. gonna throw it back to you to kick off this one. What bubble do you think bursts first for the Avs? Burst first.
I mean, a bubble burst has a really negative connotation, and people are not going to like that I feel this way. But Logan O'Connor at basically a 0.5 points per game pace, I think, is a bubble that's going to burst. I think having 3 shorthanded points through 20 games is probably not something that's going to continue throughout the
3
year.
Or 4, yeah.
Yeah, he's got 3, and if he goes an entire season like that, he ends up with 12 shorthanded points, which I don't know the last time. I can't say that I'm up on the history of shorthanded points, but that feels like a whole fucking lot.
Yeah, that seems like a lot.
So I think that when we say bubble bursting, just because JT Compher's hurt, and that would have been the obvious answer. I think the LOC scoring pace is a bubble that I think is inevitable to. Like, I think all of Kadri, Nichushkin, and LOC are going to slow down. I also think Sam Girard and Devon Taves and Andre Burakovsky and Cale Makar, I think all of those point paces probably also slow down. Gabe Landeskog is second on the Avs in scoring with 22 points in 18 games. I think that scoring pace slows down.
Yeah. No, and again, we're using
so
bubble
maybe
burst.
That's my bubble that bursts is the offense in general stops scoring 4.5 goals per game, and it has an effect on the entire lineup.
We're using bubble burst mostly for what we're going to talk about next. That now looking at the clock, we'll go through a little bit quicker because there are going to be we're going to have some actual like bubble bursting, but also for the sake of time, I really like just the blanket LO1C in the chat. I like the blanket that you put there. That I just think there's a handful of guys who are just really going right now. I don't necessarily know if I think the offense as a whole will slow down, but I just think that's going to kind of shift around. I mean, it obviously will. I don't even know what their points per game were in November, but it was ridiculous.
They were a full goal per game higher than the next closest team across an entire month. Like they just had the kind of month that like you accomplish in video games, and you're like, well, this shit would never happen.
Right. There is a comment in here though about LOC, and I think it can be kind of also blanketed for all the guys that we were just talking about. Even if he doesn't continue putting up the points, the way he's playing is what's making him so valuable. And it's the points coming with it are just kind of a bonus at this point.
Yeah.
Seriously, AJ was giving me shit for it last night, but I was saying like that shorthanded assist that he got last night, like he creates that entire thing out of nothing. He creates
the first goal of the game out of thin air by just outworking a guy. That's all it is. He just outworked a guy twice.
2 times. 2 times.
Yeah. It's great. It's great hockey. Like he's given you absolutely everything that you could have asked for. Right now, you are like Pauly D style beating up the beat about his contract right now. because you're thrilled that guy is essentially league minimum 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Like that is, I mean, you are so excited that LOC has looked the way that he has this year. I don't think his play levels off. I think his scoring levels off. And that's the only bubble that I think is bursting.
And I think that could even be said for the couple other guys that you mentioned, Kadri and Nichushkin. Not even necessarily saying that their play is going to drop off. And honestly, LOC is a funny one because we say that like, oh, the production will drop off. And he has had 3 breakaways in the last 3 games he hasn't scored on. So like the production could even be beyond what it is right now.
Yeah. So could Nukes.
Right.
Like he's had a couple of chances too where you're just like, my goodness.
Yeah. No, so it's not saying the level of play is going to taper off. But
the number of Jersey Shore fans that we have in our chat right now is awesome.
I just don't know. If he ends up with 12 shorthanded points, but as Rudo pointed out last night, I think he said it was like his senior year at DU. He had like 20 shorthanded points or something ridiculous like that.
It was his first year in the AHL.
Oh,
because he doubled his career high in production from 3 years of college. He doubled his career best year his first year of the AHL. His whole career has been backwards. Everybody else, what you see is really high scoring, and then as they get up another level, the scoring goes down. LOC has gone the other way. He gets to a different level and his scoring goes up. Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
That freaked me out. Yeah, that's Joe Sacking and Jared Bednar looking at LOC's contract for the next 3 years.
Why did that freak you out?
Well, because I was talking to AJ, then suddenly it freaked me out again. Did you see me even jump back?
Oh my goodness.
Sunglasses of that size, it's jarring. DNVR Avalanche podcast brought to you by DraftKings. Also brought to you by Sexy Pizza. If you guys haven't had Sexy Pizza, look, it's downtown. It's right by the ballpark. There's a lot of really good pizza in Denver. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Sexy Pizza is right up there with the best of them. They got a great little window you can walk up to. I just moved from downtown a few weeks ago, about a month ago. But honestly, Hannah and I would walk over to Sexy Pizza all the time. Do it by the slice, do whole pies. If you want to try them out, it's not a phobia. That much hair product and sunglasses of that size just always freak you out when they go full screen suddenly.
Jesse, this is a safe space. If you're scared, you can talk to us.
Allie?
So we've learned that Jesse doesn't like full-size Guidos.
Yeah. Quarter screen size Guidos are fine.
Right.
Full screen Guidos, I'm out.
Full screen Guidos is a no-go.
Yeah. Oh my God. I thought that said carbs are here. I was like, perfect. Leave that up as I finish this Sexy Pizza ad. I also can't read. I can't speak and I can't read apparently.
These are some important skills to have for media.
Yeah, geez. No, but honestly, guys, if you want to try out Sexy Pizza, come down to one of our DNVR Broncos tailgates. We've always got them going out there. And seriously, check them out. There's a couple locations they've got in Denver, one off South Pearl, one in downtown near the ballpark. And it is really, really, really good. Sexy by the slice is the perfect way to. Are we doing Guido shaming?
Yeah, Jesse is
2021. Yeah, that's not exclusive to 2021.
I was giving a shout out to the Guidos of the world, and Jesse had to bop it right out of here. He said, "No, sir."
Look, if you're gonna have sunglasses, they need to actually block out the sun. Your sunglasses should not fade to clear a quarter of the way down.
It's the headband that gets me. It's the headband.
So I'm growing my hair out for the first time.
Oh, this is in my transition.
Life. It's not, but it could be. It was a headband thing, and I got a company branded sweatband as part of this like promotional thing at my last job, and I now wear the headband around the house sometimes if I'm like doing chores, cleaning up, because it keeps the hair out of my face. So the headband is the only thing I'm actually on board with. But you're right, I did miss a great opportunity for a seamless transition there. I'm not going to talk about balls or anything like that, but Manscaped. Manscaped, I am actually...
Bro, are you kidding me? You could have just rolled that into if you need to improve your situation.
Yeah, I said I openly said that I missed the easy transition. I openly admitted it.
AJ, you should have just taken control. You should have just...
I was going to say, actually, I want to hear you. We're going to rewind life. Jesus Christ.
All right, I'm watching Jersey Shore the rest of the day just to relive these glorious memories.
Someone said, or Flyby Sickness said, is this a hint for DNVR headbands? We need DNVR beanies before we get anything else.
Yeah.
We need
not bathrobes, you fucking animals.
Plush white bathrobes. Plush white DNVR bathrobes. White, Jesse, just luxurious as hell with just the DNVR logo left chest. I do every show in that.
We don't want you to do every show in
that. Show in that. I mean,
this is
tied up. It looks real nice.
Want it. So, Manscaped.
Yeah, Manscaped. Yeah, I was gonna say you're derailing me. I was even gonna say, what if I did it in a robe with some shitty sunglasses and just my hair standing way up? Would that get me any closer to a robe?
Are you saying that you would manscape with a robe and your sunglasses?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Allie. That's exactly what I'm saying. Get your loved ones at home.
We're gonna lose
first.
All
Get them a nice. Get them a nice plush robe. Then head on over to Manscaped to get them all the products they will need. Whoa, some of the words on this Manscaped thing are they're hilarious to see. Then head on over to Manscaped, get them all the stuff so that they're just looking tip-top shape on Christmas morning wearing the robe. Yeah, you can say whatever. You can make fun of me for whatever you want.
No, this has to do with Manscaped. Over on the DNVR Broncos podcast, whenever Mace does the Manscaped reads, all of a sudden he'll go, ah! And I'm like on the mic, like, what just happened? And he's like, you don't want to make that reaction when you're shaving down.
Jesus, that's
it's like out of nowhere. I'm like working, and in my headphones I hear, ah! I'm like,
full volume, yeah. No headphone warning at all.
I definitely recommend listening to the DNVR Broncos podcast. It's great. And then you get to hear Mace yell when he's talking about Manscaped.
Here's Allie just sending people to other podcasts away from our podcast.
I tweeted promoting your podcast. I saw that you did not tweet promoting your podcast, Jesse. So
I don't know about that. I hope you talk about our podcast when you're producing the other shows. I hope you talk about our podcast when you're using the lawnmower body trimmer. Phenomenal product. The Weed Whacker. Look, these are all phenomenal stocking stuffers. I actually just overheard my dad saying he needs a new trimmer for his face. So I'm heading on over to Manscaped. Yeah, easy.
We made the same face, AJ. I was like, what?
For his face, because that's a great thing. That's a great thing about Manscaped. They're below the waist, above the waist. For your face, they've got phenomenal hair.
I think
what are you shaking your head for?
I think we're good. I think it's been 5 minutes of Manscaped. I think you can move on.
Do you know why? It's because I'm getting roasted every fourth word. I can't get through it. I can't finish a sentence here. Finish your Christmas shopping at Manscaped. Put some stuff in their stocking. Moving on here to period 3 of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Yeah, get something for your neck beard. Get something for your neck beard.
That's what Megan did.
Yeah. Thanks,
we are in hour 10, and this is your third segment.
And we still have. All right, AJ, what's your biggest surprise in the NHL this season?
How well they've handled all these COVID restrictions. No, obviously, I'm kidding. I would say the offensive explosion of the Minnesota Wild has kind of caught me off guard. There was a chat conversation taking place during our first segment with the Eagles about Kaprizov or Kadri, and any of you that would take Kadri over Kaprizov are fucking crazy. But I respect it. The Wild have been getting huge offensive contributions from guys that you don't really expect. Like, did anybody think that through 20-ish games that Alex Goligoski would be a top 10 defensive scorer?
No, and this is
What?
why I have them for another part of this list in about 5 minutes.
Did anybody think that Ryan Hartman would be rolling along at just under a point per game? What?
Nope.
So it's not that they're really being led by the one guy. It's just that it's like Ryan Hartman has 13 goals this year.
Yeah.
Ryan Hartman and Austin Matthews are tied.
Well, and it's not that they're Kaprizov is leading their team in points, and like you said, it's not like they're being led by only him, but they're being led by guys that are like, oh, this is an extreme outlier for your career.
Yeah, and like last year they got some bounce back performances from guys like Victor Rask and such, and Kaprizov is built off of an amazing rookie year. I'm Marcus Foligno, 15 points in 23 games. Dmitry Kulikov has 11 points. Dmitry Kulikov has 11 points. Okay. Similarly, I mean, if you go and you look at his career, he had 4 points last year. The last full season, last time he played more than 70 games, he had 17 points. So for him to have 11 points through 22 games, and it's like Jonas Brodin is in the same exact boat. A guy that's never put up 30 points in his career is rocking. I think he has 11 points right now as well. So you're just talking about they are getting, like, they have been my biggest surprise, because all the other teams that are really near the top of their divisions, I don't think have been a really big, like, massive surprise. I'm surprised Calgary is as good as it is, but with the goaltending and the defensive system and all that, like I'm not hugely surprised by and like they 5 OTLs means that they've they're 13-9. They've lost 9 games this year, but because of the point system, they're rolling. Also, they've played a ton of games.
So my biggest surprise is another one of those teams that's right up there near the top, and it's the New York Rangers. I'm not surprised that they're good. I'm surprised that they have been as good as they have been, and a lot of that's been led by Igor Shesterkin, who is turning in, to this point in the season, of a Vezina caliber performance. I thought they would take a nice step. I thought they'd take a step forward. I wasn't expecting them to be where they're at right now. It just seems like
they're definitely like they've also benefited a little bit from the Metro. We all thought that the Metro was going to be way better than it has been so far, with 2 really bad teams at the bottom in Philly and the Islanders, who just aren't. They're playing horrible hockey.
Yeah.
So the Rangers, I'm with you, man. I'm with you on the Rangers. I thought, hey, that's a competitive team. They're going to push for a playoff spot. I thought they were going to be more where New Jersey is, where you're like, hey, a bubble team somewhere in there. But right now, a 738 points percentage, if you look at in the league, that's 3rd.
Yeah. And
it's not a huge surprise to me that Edmonton, Florida, Toronto, Washington, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Colorado, Dallas, those teams are all over 600 in the points percentage, right? But the Rangers, 3rd in the NHL, man, I'm with you. That's a good call.
Yeah, no, it's much better than I thought. And you just mentioned the Islanders, and they were going to be maybe my biggest disappointment. That seemed like a little bit too low-hanging fruit. So I'm going to take it all the way down to an individual player for my biggest disappointment. Really?
I would just about the Islanders, I just want to just really quickly.
Quick aside.
They started with a 13-game road trip, and then they got rocked by both injuries and COVID. So when they finally got to play home games, their lineup was decimated. Yeah. And then they just got the COVID pause. And now they might start getting some of these guys back, but they're missing huge pieces out of their lineup. So they have been bad. Like their underlines are awful. They've played bad hockey. But they had a 13-game road trip to start the year, and then they've been decimated. So the Islanders come with some asterisks there, where it's like, like what's Chicago's excuse?
Dude, I thought that was a bad summer, anyways. But I am going to take it all the way down to a guy that people are familiar with. He's been a lot of topic of conversation, especially around Avsland for several months now. Philip Grubauer has been my biggest disappointment of the season. You knew that there would be regression going to a team like Seattle, especially after we saw that expansion draft. You knew that he would take a step back, leaving a team like Colorado. I just thought that he would be, as an individual, more competitive than he has been. He put together a couple good games last week, or maybe it was the early part of this week. But I mean, like, just you watch him in some of those games, and it's not that he's giving up goals. It's not that he's getting beat. I mean, like, he doesn't even look competitive in some of these games. And I thought that he would be the small saving grace. They have a decent D core in Seattle. I thought they overpaid Philip Grubauer, but I said between him and the D core, he will be able to help make them semi-competitive. And he just hasn't even been close to that level.
Can we expand this just into goaltender, like starting goaltenders? Because if you of goaltenders who have played more than 5 games, the bottom 10 in save percentage, this list might surprise you, because I was surprised when I just looked it up. The bottom 10, and it's not, I guess, not all starting goaltenders, but guys, this is full of guys you had expectations for.
Yeah.
Alexander Gorgiev, Aaron Dell, Anton Khudobin, Chris Driedger, Semyon Varlamov, Jonas Korpisalo, Kevin Lankinen, Philip Grubauer, Matt Murray, and Jonas Johansson. Of those 10 guys, you have 2 Seattle goaltenders that they gave big money contracts to, or that they gave multi-year free agent contracts to. You have Jonas, and when we talked the other day about, if you were trying to fix Colorado's goaltending in the worst case scenario of Darcy Kemper never plays again, right? In our fantasy, this like made up world where he never plays again and the Avs have to do something. Names that popped up that people hit me up with as suggestions after the show included Gorgiev, Varlamov, and Korpisalo, and Matt Murray.
Yeah.
And all of those guys are in the bottom 10 of save percentages.
Yeah. I loved your suggestion of, do you go ask Seattle to retain $1.5 million on Philip Grubauer and just run it back? It's not a bad idea, because then
it would be like some 70 chess to do something like that.
Yeah, seriously, that would be pretty wild. For the sake of time, I actually really like that I think there's been a lot of goalies this year, and you could even go all the way back to our Avs segment that now seems like 45 minutes ago.
It was.
Where you can lump in Darcy Kemper with that. There's just been a lot of goaltenders who are not playing the way that you thought they would.
He was 21st on that list. So not
21st out of 32?
I don't know. I closed it.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Just he was on that list of from lowest to highest. Yeah. He was,
okay.
Of all goalies who have 5 starts this year. So.
And I think there was even another chart that was put out earlier this season where, with the exception of Freddie Anderson, pretty much every starting goaltender that went to a new team was just off to a terrible start.
Out of 63 goaltenders, 21 out of 63. So it's bad. Both Colorado goaltenders are in the bottom third.
What bubble do you think bursts first, AJ?
I think it's Calgary. The general, like, getting unbelievable goaltending while also scoring at a high level. That's a pretty good way to live.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where I would start. And because Calgary right now is averaging 3.22 goals per game, which is 8th. And they're giving up 1.96, which is best in the NHL by quite a bit over Toronto.
Yeah. I think it'll be Minnesota, not in terms of like, oh, I think they're going to completely fall off. I think they suck. I just like you read off some of those names there, and it's like, we were talking about, I don't know if LOC and Val Nichushkin and Nazem Kadri keep scoring at this point.
Yeah.
Or, at this rate, you just have to look at Minnesota, and it's like that bus is being driven by Kirill Kaprizov, which you fully expect it to be.
Sure.
But just those names that are coming after it, it's like, I don't know if
Kulikov, Goligoski, and Brodin all having scoring seasons that would have them over 40 points. All defensive defensemen that don't do that.
Right.
At this point in their careers, because I know Goligoski had a pretty good career.
Well, and that's the thing. I think Ryan Hartman and Kaprizov are like just under 30. And all their other guys are 30 or older that are in the top part of their scoring there. So, like, I don't know.
Rem Pitlick has 10 points in 14 games.
It's just when you look at that roster on paper, before you look at any of their statistics, you're like, yeah, I don't know. This isn't a great team. They can maybe be competitive, maybe push for a playoff spot, yada, yada, yada. And then you just see what production they're getting. And it's like, I just don't see that as sustainable. I think they'll eventually kind of regress back. I think they'll probably, they'll make the playoffs. They'll be fine. They'll be right up there. I just don't see them continuing to play at this clip and have some of those guys putting up points at the rate that they are. Just don't see it.
Yeah, and like scoring falls off throughout the year for pretty much everybody.
Right.
So I think that's just a natural thing. It's like you're talking like some of Colorado's guys, like Devon Taves at a point per game. Like that guy, we expect to have a 40-point season.
Mm-hmm.
So we expect him to be productive and prolific offensively, but you don't expect him like 80 freaking points, and that's the level he's on right now.
Yep.
And that's where like Goligoski has 16 points in 20 games.
The eyebrow.
I just don't think that a guy who is 36 years old and has one 40-point season under his belt is likely ticketed for a 60-point season.
Right.
You never know. I mean, Mark Giordano a couple years ago had the season of all seasons at like age 37.
Yeah.
So things happen. But
well, I mean, Alex Ovechkin this year.
Well, and Ovechkin's in a different. He's a unicorn. Alex, it's no offense to Alex Goligoski. Alex Goligoski is I'm sure a perfectly nice guy, and he's had a great career. But I don't think anybody would ever think of him as a unicorn.
Yeah,
Ovi is a unicorn. He's on a different, like, he lives in a different plane of existence than the rest of us on a lot of levels. Yeah. But hockey-wise, I mean, he's a freak, man. And we talked about Makar's goal scoring last night. That's going to slow down. He's on pace for a 40-goal season. Come on. That's going to slow down. Now, how much it slows down, we'll see, but it's gonna score. It's gonna chill out a little bit.
AJ, let's get out of here before we hit the 90-minute mark. Thank you guys for if you are still sticking with us. Thank you for sticking with us to this point.
We have 130 people still watching, so people are hanging out.
You guys are the best.
It's Friday and everybody's just chilling. Well, there's no Avs game tonight, and we're all just trying to figure out what to do.
We convinced a lot of people to watch Jersey Shore after this.
We should have a Jersey Shore watch party in the Discord.
Oh my god!
Don't invite me to that.
Oh,
don't send me the invite.
He's scared of this stuff, so we got to be sensitive when we talk about Jersey Shore and Guidos with him.
Allie, what are the odds we could do Mimosa Christmas movie marathon starting off with Jim Carrey's Grinch at the bar?
We can't watch movies at the bar, unfortunately. I know.
Thank God, this was a horrible idea. I've never
Mimosas
seen
in
the
pint
Grinch.
glasses.
Yeah, we can't watch
Yeah.
it. We can't do it because then it's like we are distributing like a movie theater. So then we have to pay specific. We could just get in trouble. So we don't do that stuff.
So it's not looking good, is what you're saying.
We can drink a lot of mimosas.
Well, hey, perfect. Then just stop right there where I'm in.
And tomorrow is like an all-day marathon at the
Yes.
bar because we've got nuggets. He does. He does. We've now learned this. We've got to be very sensitive.
Yes.
Okay,
ultimate
tomorrow
watch
at
party
11
tomorrow.
a.m. We've got the Nuggets game on. Such an early game, but the bar will be open at 10:30, so you can go down, watch the Nuggets. Then we've got the Buffs basketball game on at noon. They're playing Tennessee. Then technically CSU has a game at 2, but we unfortunately can't play that at the bar because it's not on TV. It's on Stadium TV. So unfortunately we can't do that. But Buffs at 2 or Buffs at noon, CSU at 2. So if you're a CSU Rams basketball fan, Justin Michael will be covering it all down in Fort Collins, and we'll get all the coverage for you. And then at 5, we've got Avs. So it's a full day of just go get mimosas, have brunch, then have the regular bar food and just hang out all day. The more that you stay at the bar, the more raffle tickets you get for, I think they're raffling 2 gift boxes, which includes 2 shirts and a membership to DNVR, and then a bunch of other fun goodies. So that's dope.
Yeah. So if you're not down at the bar tomorrow, I don't really know what you're doing because that's where I'll be all day. I'm just going to be slamming mimosas all day. So we'll see what the post-game pod looks
Trying to
like by
avoid
8:00.
Guidos.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know how many people are going to start showing up to the bar dressed like that now? Just
Oh yeah, we're gonna get you some glasses. We're gonna have you confront this fear that you have and maybe become one yourself.
DNVR Avalanche podcast brought to you by DraftKings. Jesse Montano, AJ Haefele, and the lovely Allie Monroy helping us put it all together, being the best pod mom she can be. Thank you guys all for listening. We will be back tomorrow with a pregame show 30 minutes before the Avs game. Another 5 o'clock start, so 4:30. Tune in to the DNVR Avalanche pregame show, and then we'll be going live immediately after the game. And we will talk to you guys then.